What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some nerfs and buffs I think will happen with the brand new update. So it's about 18 days into the brand new season, so we haven't got any mid-season balance changes, which is unfortunate, but there should be some big changes around the corner. So before we jump into it, make sure you're using the creator code. That'd be greatly appreciated. And without further ado, let's hop into it. Alright guys, jumping into the first one, which of course you guys probably know by now. It is BB. Is one of the best brawlers in the game, good against pretty much everything, and there's a couple of really annoying features about her. I've already mentioned it before, but I think this surely has to be the update. She is nerfed, right? She's just been at the top for the longest time. So the first one hopefully will be with her reload speed. So hopefully they increase her reload speed, because right now, especially with the range she has, one of the best ranges in the game for a sharpshooter that just deals insane damage. It's just way too quick to reload at 0.9 seconds every time. So even if it's increased by 0.1 second, 0.2 seconds, at least it's a nerf, right? At least she's not just spamming out shots as quickly as she could before. And the big one I hope they actually change is with her super charge rate. So people don't talk about this enough, but I think her super is incredibly toxic. It's not like really overpowered, but it definitely is toxic, especially once you of course super someone. You can just auto aim and constantly cycle those of 3k shots like it's nothing. It's just way too strong. You can cycle it way too quick. Hopefully they change this to around 4 shots to get your super, because then at least there's a lot less defensive capabilities of B. You can probably take it down a little bit easier. And then maybe if they don't want to change any of these, even just a small like 200 damage decrease in a supercharged shot will be really nice. So jumping into the next nerf, hopefully it will be Max. So Max has been crying out for a nerf for the longest time now. She's been at the top of the meta for so incredibly long, and the main reason is because she's just good against everything. But the main way to nerf her, which normally does the job, is literally just really simple: damage or her HP. Whenever this one of them is nerfed, she tends to be kind of like a non-toxic brawler, like a top 20 brawler. I think that's the perfect situation for her to be in right now, because it is definitely a little bit unbalanced for a brawler to be so strong for so long. Even though me personally, I like Max in the meta. She's a high skill cap brawler, and you can have a really, well, you can make really good plays with her and change the game really well. But as I said, it will be nice just to see Max out the meta a little bit, so just a small HP nerf should be sufficient. Next up on the nerf list, we have pennies. So again, the same 3 brawlers. I'll have to keep just making videos on these until the nerf, because the top 3 brawlers in the game right now, they just don't seem to get nerfed whatsoever. It would be nice to see a brawler like Penny actually be a little bit less viable. I'm not talking like bottom 10 brawlers, which used to be before her rework. At least maybe like top 20 would be pretty nice. But anyways, Penny definitely deserving of a nerf, just like Max. I feel like it's pretty easy to see where to nerf Penny, right? So either damage or HP. She does have quite a lot of damage for the type of brawler she is. But the main one I would like to see, maybe this does push her down a little bit, is her salty barrel gadget nerf. The HP on it is just a little bit too much. It provides so much value. It is pretty annoying, the fact that you have to wait until those gadgets go down until you can actually go aggro on her. So at least if you do nerf the damage on that and make it so maybe you can only do like 1 shot or 2 shot onto that salty barrel before it does explode, it will be pretty nice, because those aggro brawlers can then actually counter her. So next up on the nerf list, we have RT. So RT is a brand new brawler in the game right now. I'm not saying that he should just be killed, because I like it when a brand new brawler is pretty strong, but I feel like he's too strong right now, just a little bit. A lot of people are stressing that he's probably the best brawler in the game right now, and I think he could just use a few adjustments and make him pretty balanced. So the first one is going to be with his mark. So I believe his mark right now takes 5 seconds to actually just go away, and I think with the star power as well, it takes up to 8 seconds. But I think just nerfing this by like a second or something will be pretty nice. The main reason why I think this needs to be changed is because it's just way too long. That extra 1000 damage can be really solid, especially for brawlers that don't deal a lot of damage. So there's a few scenarios which I think are a little bit too broken for me. So for example, Crow pairs really well, because that poison can just deal, instead of dealing like a couple of hundred of damage, an extra 1000 damage on 1 poison tick can just be absolutely insane for me. So that is a pretty annoying feature. Also, I've noticed as well, I think with Janet's gadget and also with Sandy's star power Rude Sands, even like 100 damage tick can turn it into 1000, which is just insane to me. So I think the mark might be a little bit too strong in some aspects. Maybe that can be changed as well. And I think the last one is the mark should go away when RT is about to go into supers. So one thing that I really don't like is when RT supers and they've already got a mark on them, they'll just deal, well, RT will deal 5k instantly. And then of course if he does 2 shots, that's 10k damage instantly. But I think if RT, well, if the mark went away before RT went into his super, you'll only deal 4k damage to begin with, and then 5k. I think that'll be a nice little change, because I just feel like 5k damage instantly is a little bit too much. Lastly, on the nerf list, we have Ashe. So you guys probably know how much I dislike Ashe and facing off against good Ashe players. He's a really annoying brawler to face off against. The thing is with Ashe is that he's not the strongest at lower levels, but when it goes to the higher levels, he starts to have a really strong win rate. But I think he only needs a small nerf. I don't think it's like uncounterable. I don't think it's like incredibly toxic. I would just like a small HP nerf. There was a time where I think he got like a 300 HP buff or something, and I don't really understand why, because he was still super strong. I think just revert that change. I think at least giving him a little bit less HP might make him a little bit easier to take down in the lane. Okay, so now moving on to the buff wish list. Starting off with a brand new brawler, Willow. So after playing Willow countless hours, I feel like she's definitely on the weaker side. Probably a little bit balanced, but I'd like for her to receive a nice buff, because it's always nice for a brand new brawler to be a bit strong, like not overpoweringly strong, but at least strong, so you have fun playing with them, right? So Willow, of course, the thrower, she's just pretty limited anyways, but I'd like to see a small range buff, because I feel like the other throwers just outrange her too much, and especially because throwers are mostly really good on like bounty and knockout, whereas Willow isn't really good there. So I'd like for her to be a little bit viable in that game mode, right? So at least you get to pick between a few different throwers, so just a small range increase. Of course, you got to be a little bit careful, because if you remember the barley range increase like a year or two ago, it was a little bit too toxic, so not too much. And then one thing as well, which everyone's been complaining about, and I've definitely been having this issue, is that it's a little bit too hard to hit your super. I just feel like it shouldn't be that really easy to hit your super every single time, but at the same time, it is really hard. So they could change a few things, maybe increase the range maybe a little bit, just so you're not as exposed when you use your super, or they could make it so the hitbox is a little bit bigger, so you can connect your supers a lot easier. Or they could go down the route of which should lead to Gus. Remember when Gus couldn't even shoot his shield through walls? Maybe you can do that with Willow. That might be a little bit too strong, but it could be a nice change. So next up on my buff wish list, we have Mandy. So Mandy is a brawler right now which can definitely excel in the right scenario. But I think as the meta is changing, Mandy's actually getting a lot weaker, especially in her best game mode, knockout and bounty. You don't actually see Mandy too much. The main reason why is because pros has definitely figured her out. Her range can still be dodged a little bit. Like if you dodge a couple of shots at max range, you can get into Mandy's face and take her down. And also her super is just not as strong as it used to be. Like before, it was like this surprise factor when you didn't really know how to deal, like face off against it. And I just feel like it's actually really hard to connect the super onto really good players. So Mandy definitely needs a buff in some categories. For me, I would actually make it just so when she just focus with that extended range, just decreasing it by a couple of milliseconds, like, well, not milliseconds, a couple of like 0.1 second, maybe a 0.2 second, just so you get that extra range quicker. Might be a nice buff, because as I said right now, Mandy is actually one of the worst brawlers in the game. She really isn't used too much anymore. So next up on the buff wish list, we have Buster. So Buster is a brawler which, of course, you gotta be careful of buffing too much, because we don't want to go back to the way he was before, where he was the best brawler in the game, literally uncounterable. But right now, I think he's definitely on the weaker side. You know, some scenarios where he might be a little bit underrated, but still, I feel like I just can't really just pick up and play Buster, like especially like Brawl and other scenarios. Just feel like everyone just typically counters him unless you're facing off against squishy brawlers. So I'll just like a small damage buff. I feel like they just overdid the damage nerfs too much. Like his super doesn't get as much value anymore, so at least give him a little bit of a damage buff. So next up with the buffs, we have Mr. P. So Mr. P, I've been crying out for Mr. P buff for a long time. He's one of the brawlers that I actually hate the most in the game, but still, it's not nice to see a brawler at the bottom of the meta pretty much all of the time. There's only literally been a few rare scenarios where I've seen Mr. P in competitive in the last year. Maybe on double switch, I've seen him a few times to counter the likes of Gene, but still, I feel like he's definitely missing a little bit of oomph right now. I think the main reason why they're not buffing Mr. P is because at lower trophies, he actually has a pretty decent win rate. I think it was around like the 20, but I think it was like top 10 or something in terms of highest win rate. I've seen a comment about it on my YouTube, but definitely Mr. P at the highest ranks is just terrible. It's so easy to dodge his main attack. His porters just don't have near enough the amount of HP that they used to when it was first released, and I just feel like it doesn't get nowhere near as much value. So Mr. P definitely needs some type of buff, whether it be his HP or his damage. And lastly, on my buff wish list, we have Frank. So with Frank, I think they should just give him 10,000 more HP. I mean, that's what they typically do, right? A lot of the times with Frank, they just think whenever he's on the weak side, just give him more HP. I mean, we can't go wrong giving Frank more HP, but I'd actually like a little bit of a different change. I don't know about you guys, but Power Grab is pretty decent at lower levels. I really like using it on like a brand new account that I have. But as for like in competitive, you hardly ever get a kill with Frank or even get close to Frank. So maybe this needs to be changed a little bit because, as I said, you have to wait until you get a kill to get that extra damage. I'd maybe like consider a rework to that star power. I don't know if you guys would want to see it, but maybe like how they do it with Overgrowth with Sprout. Every like 5 seconds they increase his range. Not the range side with Frank, but maybe like an increase in damage with his next shot every 6 seconds. That could be pretty nice. I think it definitely needs like a change in somehow in his kit because right now he's just so easily countered. Alright guys, it's going to be it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed this one. So let me know if you want to see any more balancing videos. A lot of people suggested me to do a video about gadgets and star powers and how to balance them. I feel like because they didn't do any mid-season changes, they're kind of waiting to do some big changes now because I think they're a bit apprehensive to change a lot because of the unbreakable walls and all of these other things going on. But now they've had a couple of months to have a look at the meta. I think surely like a lot of star powers and gadgets that have had no love can finally get some loves with this brand new update. But yeah, I'll probably make a video on that pretty soon. But that's going to be it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.